Somewhere far below the ocean, a $4 billion machine is moving in total silence. No sound reaches the surface. No light gives it away. Yet this single machine carries enough destructive power to wipe out entire cities in seconds. But it isn't feared because it is loud or massive. It is feared because it completely disappears. It can shadow an enemy ship for weeks, completely undetected, waiting for the perfect second to strike. Which raises the ultimate question. How do you even build something this complex when one single microscopic flaw means everyone on board is crushed instantly? Because far below the surface, there are no second chances. This is the Virginia-class attack submarine. And it is not simply advanced. It is built for one job above all others: to track a target silently, gather information no one else can get, and strike only when the moment is right. That is exactly why it is so feared. It does not win by being loud or fast. It wins by staying completely hidden while it watches everything around it. An enemy ship can be followed for days and never once sense it is being studied. Now here is where it gets expensive. Building a submarine like this costs close to $4 billion. And that price has almost nothing to do with size. It comes from packing a nuclear reactor, advanced sensors, powerful weapons, and full life support into one single hull, where every system depends on every other system working without fail. Inside that hull sits a nuclear reactor that can run quietly for decades, sonar systems that can hear a ship long before that ship hears it, and torpedoes built to break a target apart in one strike. This is what makes the submarine so valuable. It can vanish for months. It can operate completely alone. It can strike before anyone even knows it is near. But none of that matters if it cannot first survive the one place built to destroy almost anything that enters it. That fight for survival begins the moment construction starts. But this is where the story gets interesting. Before a single sheet of steel is even cut, the entire submarine already exists inside a computer. Engineers run it through endless simulations, hunting for weaknesses while they are still cheap and simple to fix. Instead of building the hull as one long shape, workers build it in large, separate sections. Each section is built alone, checked closely, and only joined to the next once it passes every test. This way, a hidden flaw cannot slip through and disappear inside a finished hull. At the center of everything sits the pressure hull, the single most important structure on the entire submarine. This is the only thing standing between the crew and the ocean's crushing force. Far below the surface, water pushes against that hull with a weight strong enough to crumple steel like paper. If it ever fails, there is no warning, and there is no second chance. At those extreme depths, the ocean doesn't just look for a crack, it searches for the tiniest molecular weakness in the welds. A single microscopic fracture under that much pressure behaves like an explosive charge, ripping the hull apart in less than a blink of an eye. Staying hidden is built in from the very start, too. A special coating covers the outside of the hull to soak up sound waves, and the propulsor that pushes the submarine through the water is built to turn without the telltale hiss older engines made. The curve of the hull, the coating on its skin, even the way water slides around it, all of it is shaped to silence the submarine before it ever leaves the dock. By the time it is finished, the submarine looks ready. But looking ready and being trusted are two very different things. Underwater, there is no room for a second attempt, which is exactly why testing becomes the most unforgiving stage of all. Before the Navy hands this submarine a real mission, every hidden weakness has to be found and torn out. First comes pressure testing. The hull is forced against extreme depth again and again. Not once, because the open ocean will keep testing it that way for the next 30 years. One success proves nothing on its own. Then every system on board is pushed together at the same time. A part can work perfectly by itself and still fail the moment it is combined with everything else, because real failure rarely comes from one broken piece. It comes from how the pieces fight each other under pressure. Now comes the moment that decides everything: sea trials. For the first time, the submarine has to prove itself in open water, showing it can hold its depth, stay silent, and respond exactly the way it was built to. Only after it survives every one of these tests does the Navy finally let it carry a crew into real danger. It has earned its place in the water now, surviving pressures that would destroy almost anything else. If that level of extreme engineering discipline impresses you, type respect in the comments below. Because what this submarine actually does once it vanishes beneath the surface is something else entirely. Once deployed, the submarine disappears into total darkness, far below anything the surface world can see. With no way to see for itself, it depends entirely on sonar, listening for the faintest sound in the water to detect, track, and understand exactly what is moving nearby. Most of the time, it is not attacking anything at all. It is positioning itself, watching, waiting. Staying unseen matters more than taking action, because every second it stays hidden is another second the enemy has no idea where to look. When force is finally needed, it can fire a torpedo 19 feet long at a nearby threat, or send a cruise missile toward a target more than 1,000 miles away and still vanish before anyone can trace where the strike came from. That is the part that should unsettle you. It can hurt you and disappear in the same breath. None of this works without its nuclear reactor. Unlike older submarines, it never has to surface to refuel. It can run for months without stopping, which removes one of the biggest limits submarines have always faced. So what actually decides how long a mission lasts? Not the reactor, not the steel, the people inside it. Even a machine this advanced cannot run forever without help. Every so often, the submarine returns to dry dock, where it is inspected, repaired, and quietly upgraded long before it ever heads back out to sea. Getting in and out of port also takes real teamwork. Tugboats guide it through narrow spaces it cannot manage alone, while support crews make sure every deployment leaves fully stocked and fully repaired. Even the food on board is planned down to the pound, since a submarine can carry enough meat, flour, and coffee to last through months without resupply. Inside, space is tight, and almost nothing serves only one purpose. Sailors live by a strict routine built around constant watching, because the submarine systems never stop needing attention. Many sailors take turns sharing the same bunk in shifts, since this submarine carries only about 90 beds for more than 100 crew members. Daily life means rotating duty, repeating responsibility, and no real break for as long as the mission lasts. Something always needs watching. Someone is always watching it. The hardest part of this whole mission was never mechanical. It is human. Long isolation, limited contact with home, and the constant demand to stay sharp wear on every sailor aboard. One tired, distracted moment is enough to put the entire submarine at risk. This submarine's power was never only about steel and silence. It depends on people working without error, beneath a surface the world will never reach. Somewhere down there, right now, it is still moving.